Hey everybody, it's Maggie Mulhern from Modern Salon TV. Yep, that's Guido here, the Guido, Redken's Global Artistic Director. Creative Director, and he is fresh off of Fashion Week. He's done probably hundreds of shows within the past month or so, and Redken brought him in here to meet with the press, and we have so many burning questions, but we were talking earlier, and I was saying how everyone wants to be Guido. And what are the tips that you would have for an aspiring salon professional, either a makeup artist, a nail artist, or a hairdresser, on becoming you and doing the things that you do?
There's a few things that have got me to where I am. I think tenacity, a kind of, I've never given up. I've never rested on my laurels. So I haven't sort of thought, oh, that was amazing. That's me plateauing. I sort of push myself every day. And I think that's really, been an important part of my career. And also I found hairdressing such an exciting medium to work in, that it's forever changing, it's forever inspiring to me. So it's always pushing me to sort of create new things. So I think that's important. And I've never I've moved around the world to sort of get to where I am today, meaning like I started in my hometown, and then I moved to London, and then I moved to Paris, and now I'm in New York. And who knows where I'll be in 5 years' time. But I've never been kind of someone that sort of said, well, this is where I am. And, I've decided to give up on certain things in my life, or I had in the past, to achieve what I wanted to do in my work. And that was my personal journey. And I think everyone will have their own kind of idea of what their limit is. But to push your limits is a really important part of success, I think.
Well, these days you really don't have to be based in New York or LA, but you do have to have some flexibility. Do you want to comment on that?
Well, I mean, what's so great nowadays is that probably if you're in a salon, you're probably near some kind of college that does a fashion show or has a fashion department, or there'll be a local model school or somewhere that you could maybe carry out hair in a kind of fashion sense. Now, it might not be New York City or Paris where I work, but it will give you like a taste for maybe, like, if this is something for you, you might think it's for you, but actually when you start doing it, it might not actually be what your kind of makes you tick. So I think probably nearby all of us is somewhere that you could try working in the fashion kind of arena. I'd say either at a show, a local college, or maybe there's a young photographer that wants to take pictures of models and you could do the hair for it. I mean, I started when I was in London, I worked with very young photographers, very young models, and very sort of young makeup artists, and collaboratively we came together to create pictures, and I got very inspired by that. That was like what really made it was the start of like this journey that I really kind of enjoyed. So, try something out like that. And then if it's something that you do enjoy, maybe it might be about trying to move to a bigger city. Do you know what I mean? If it's really your calling.
So what about, you talked about photos. How important is a portfolio or a book these days?
I believe, I'm not sure, they're not so important. And with the sort of the whole social media Instagram thing, I think a lot of people will look at your Instagram accounts and social media accounts to see what work you're doing. I think the great thing about Instagram, I'm not sometimes not the hugest fan of it, but I think it's somewhere you can really create your page. You can really create what you're about. So it's like when someone clicks on it, they really get it. If you're true to yourself, they really get an insight into your work. And I think probably that is the way, the future. That is the way people are going to communicate, find out what you're doing. So, Instagram is great for that. Do you know what I mean? It's a great, it's a great creative thing. You can create your page exactly how you want to create it, whether it's all your own work or some work that influences you. I think, that's a way sort of forward.
That's interesting. And before we move on to the next question, how does one follow you? What is your Instagram name?
I'm not quite sure. What is it? At Guido Palau. That's how.
That's how much he's loving Instagram. Okay, so the other thing we were talking about earlier are the people, hairdressers, great hairdressers of the day, and they could no longer be with us. Who do you think the Modern Salon audience should be following or look up that person's work?
Me. But I mean, I think you know, when I was growing up in hairdressing, there was Sassoon where I worked, Trevor Sorbie in England, and Tony and Guy, and there was Michael John. There was hairdressers in Paris that I really looked up to, like Alexandre Paris. All these different great creative individuals that each had their own style, and I really took a bit from everyone and sort of enjoyed something that all of them did. And I think, you know, to look back at the past is really important, because you can't just look at, say, hair today and think, well, once I've mastered like easy natural texture or a great cut, then I've mastered hairdressing. You really have to know the whole history of hairdressing. You're not going to find it just by looking at maybe the person next to you or the person in the salon at the road. You've got to really tap into hairdressing as a history to really get a great knowledge and a great hand in everything. So when you do go to work at a photo shoot or you do work at a fashion show, that you can really bring to that engagement all your techniques. You know, it's about learning as much as you can, not just with your hands, but, you know, historically in film, in art, in everything. You really, to be a great fashion hairdresser, a great editorial hairdresser, you really need to know culturally about everything. And I'm forever learning. I mean, you never stop learning. I think that's a great interesting thing about our job.
Do you ever work on mannequin heads?
No, I'm no good at them. To be honest, I mean, I remember when I started my training at Sassoon's, we worked on mannequin heads, and I got fired. So there you go. I mean, it wasn't like, I don't find a mannequin head, for me now, it's not an inspirational thing. I have to find a real man, woman, a character then to create on, because to me it's about creating a character. And I could probably get into a mannequin head in a subversive way. Do you know what I mean? Sort of the way it's sort of so kind of strange and plasticky, and be inspired by that. But I don't often practice on them. No, luckily enough, I always have some willing volunteers.
Okay, so my last question. I know Fashion Week, there are so many ponytails that are done at Fashion Week, and we were talking earlier about my ponytail. How do you feel about ponytails and ponytails at Fashion Week? What is that all about?
Well, ponytails to me they're like a pair of jeans, a white shirt, a great pair of loafers, a great trainer. They're a classic. You know, they're never going to go away. And ever since I've been sort of working in the fashion industry, especially doing fashion shows, one of my first fashion shows in New York was at Calvin Klein, which was the kind of where the modern day ponytail was invented. With that brand, and I've done 1 million different ponytails, and it's amazing every year that you have to reinvent the ponytails with the help of different textures, different hair products. So I feel they're a great go-to, and there's endless variations you can do on them. And I remember once I even thought of doing a book about ponytails, because there's so many different things you can do, and they're so kind of simple, but they can be so kind of like complex at the same time, using different textures, dual products, you know, teasing them, you know, they're endless. Do you know what I mean? Putting finger waves and doing a ponytail is something that can be updated and will never go away. So to master your ponytails is a way into the fashion business.
Well, thank you for that. He did not do my ponytail, but you approved. You said it was okay.
I said it was okay.
Uh-oh.
It's very, very pretty. You know.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I like that even better. Thank you so much for this time. Congratulations on all of your success and for everything you've done for the industry by just leading us to do better work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.